Jones, coming at you live where the gridiron grows. This is the Alexander Scoop Jones podcast, breaking down the GFL news coming fast from Gwinnett County. We shine that light, 11U football, every play, every fight, it's all about the kids. Every pass, every run, we suit up on Saturday mornings, yeah, we bring that fun. So huddle up, y'all, the whistle's about to blow. Let's talk GFL and let the good times roll.
So imagine a football game, right? And it is just an absolute brutal, scoreless stalemate.
Oh man, pure trench warfare.
Exactly, pure trench warfare. Neither offense can even breathe, let alone string together a first down.
Right.
And the clock is ticking down to the final seconds. The tension is just suffocating. And, you know, it all comes down to the very last play of the game.
It always does.
Right. So there's a desperation scramble, bodies flying literally everywhere, and then a flag flies.
Whoa, heartbreaking.
A controversial penalty right in the end zone. The referee signals a safety, the whistle blows, and the game is over. 2-0.
Wow. 2-0.
2-0. Now, if you are picturing like a gritty NFL slugfest in the freezing rain, you would be entirely forgiven.
I mean, yeah, it has all the hallmarks of a classic primetime professional defensive battle, right? Where every single yard is just fiercely contested.
But it's not. This isn't the NFL. It's not a college bowl game. It's not even Friday night high school lights.
Which is the crazy part.
Yeah, this is the incredibly intense, super high-stakes world of youth football. Specifically, the GFL, the Gwinnett Football League, the 11U division.
11 under.
Yes, we are talking about 11-year-olds here.
Which is just a completely different universe when you actually, look under the hood.
It really is. And whether you are a diehard football fanatic who lives for scouting reports, or you're just someone who's like fascinated by intense competitive subcultures, you are going to want to stick around for this deep dive.
Absolutely. It's fascinating.
Because we have a stack of sources here detailing this whole micro ecosystem. These 11-year-olds, they've been battling each other since they were, 7?
Yeah, 7 years old.
And it functions almost exactly like a professional league. I mean, complete with complex defensive schemes, sophisticated scouting, deeply rooted community grudges, the whole 9 yards.
The level of organization and just the sheer emotional investment in this specific age bracket is, frankly, it's staggering.
It really is.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to break down the August 8th, 2026 Jamboree results, look at the official top 10 preseason rankings, and forecast week 1 of the GFL 11U season.
Lots of ground to cover.
Definitely. So we are going to start with the on-field results from that Jamboree weekend, because if you look at the raw data, there is one glaring overarching theme.
Yeah, absolute suffocating defensive dominance.
Yes, the offenses were practically erased from the field.
I mean, if you were an offensive coordinator on August 8th, you were likely leaving the stadium questioning all your life choices.
Seriously.
It was just a weekend defined by shutouts. But what is truly interesting is the mechanism behind those shutouts.
Right. Let's talk about that mechanism. Starting with that 2-0 game I mentioned at the top of the show, that was Collins Hill facing off against Grayson-Gold.
Yeah. The shocker.
I'm trying to put myself in the cleats of an 11-year-old here. To me, this feels like running a marathon, leading for 26 miles, and then, I don't know, tripping over your own shoelace on the final step.
That's a pretty good analogy.
How does a team mentally recover when a defensive masterpiece is just completely ruined by a single penalty on the absolute last play of the game?
It is a devastating blow, psychologically. There's no way around it. What's fascinating here is that if we look at the physics and the developmental biology of what is happening on that field, that 2-0 scoreline reveals a structural truth about this specific age group.
What do you mean?
Well, at 11 years old, defensive discipline and physical growth are radically outpacing offensive execution.
No, because of growth spurts.
Exactly. Kids at this age are hitting early growth spurts where they suddenly have the raw speed to close gaps and the mass to hit really hard.
So the defense just has a raw physical advantage at this stage.
Precisely. To play elite defense at this age, you really just need aggression, reaction speed, and gap discipline.
Just find a ball and hit the guy with it.
Right. But to play elite offense, especially on the offensive line, you need complex, sustained coordination.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Getting 5 11-year-old linemen to pull, hinge, and block in perfect unison, that is exponentially harder than getting a defensive tackle to just shoot through a gap.
I can barely get 5 11-year-olds to agree on a pizza topping.
Exactly. The offensive line simply haven't developed the synchronized mechanics needed to sustain long drives against that kind of incoming speed. It sets a really gritty, unforgiving tone for the entire season.
Wow.
The teams that survive this gauntlet won't necessarily be the ones with the flashiest, most complex playbooks, but the ones with the highest emotional resilience.
That makes a lot of sense. And you can see that defensive superiority playing out perfectly at Bryson Park during the Jamboree.
Oh yeah, Grayson-Green.
Grayson-Green completely blanked Gainesville 20-0. And looking at the notes, this wasn't just the offense having a good day. Grayson-Green's defense forced 2 turnovers.
Yep.
And both of those takeaways directly resulted in touchdowns. They didn't just stop the opponent. They essentially scored the points themselves.
And see, when your defense becomes your primary offensive weapon, it breaks the opponent's will.
I bet.
It demoralizes the other sideline instantly because they realize they can't even safely hold on to the football, let alone move it down the field.
And we saw that same clamping down over at Bethesda Park, which essentially acted as the defensive hub of the entire weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Defensive clinic over there.
They hosted 4 different games, and points were basically non-existent. I mean, Buford-Green edged Brookwood Maroons 6-0.
Right.
That entire game was decided on a single early 48-yard touchdown run by the Buford quarterback, and then after that, just nothing.
Which tells us that once a team secured a tiny lead, they just locked the gates.
Just park the bus.
Yeah, the defense knew they only had to protect a 6-point margin, and the opposing offense simply didn't have the sophisticated passing attack to stretch the field and mount a comeback.
You saw it across the board there. The defending champs, Buford-White, cruised to a 19-0 win over Brookwood-Gold. Grayson-White shut out South Gwinnett 7-0. But amidst all this defensive trench warfare, there was one glaring anomaly.
Yes, Dacula Park.
Over at Dacula Park, Norcross, a team apparently known as the Kings of 7v7, they put up a staggering 33-0 win against Dacula.
33 points.
And they scored on their very first offensive play. I am looking at this and wondering, how are they putting up 33 points when everyone else is struggling to get a single first down?
Well, this is a terrifying statement to the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Let's break down why. So 7-on-7, or 7v7, is a version of touch football played without linemen.
Right. Mostly during the spring and summer.
Exactly. It is entirely focused on timing, route running, and aerial dominance. People call it basketball on grass.
Okay, I like that.
Historically, a lot of teams that look amazing in 7v7 fall apart when you put the pads on in the fall.
Because they aren't used to getting hit.
Right, and they don't know how to block.
Because suddenly there are giants running at your quarterback.
Exactly. But the fact that Norcross translated that 7v7 finesse flawlessly into full pad, 11-man tackle football means their quarterback and receivers have a level of chemistry and spatial awareness that most high school programs would envy.
That's insane for 11-year-olds.
They bypass the physical line of scrimmage battle entirely by simply throwing over it.
That is wild. And they weren't the only ones showing some offensive sparks, right? Over at E.E. Robinson Park, Lawrenceville beat Lanier 25-0.
Though Lawrenceville's defense actually found the end zone twice in that game.
Right. Good point. And then at Duncan Creek, Mill Creek struck first against Peachtree Ridge, but that early score just sort of woke a sleeping giant.
It really did.
Peachtree Ridge absorbed the blow and then just dominated the rest of the way to win 26-6.
And taking an early punch in the mouth and responding with 26 unanswered points, that is the ultimate sign of elite coaching.
They didn't fold.
No, they didn't panic. They simply adjusted.
Now, we need to acknowledge something for everyone trying to keep track of this landscape at home. The cognitive load of these team names is kind of heavy.
It really is an alphabet soup.
Yeah. You have Grayson-Green, Grayson-White, Grayson-Gold. You have Buford-White, Buford-Green, Brookwood Maroon, Brookwood Gold. I mean, it's like navigating a corporate org chart.
It does get complicated. But having 3 separate elite teams from one program, like Grayson, it just shows the sheer overwhelming volume of athletes in that specific pipeline.
Just a massive pool of kids.
Right, but it also splits their talent pool across 3 rosters, which actually makes their individual rankings even more impressive.
That makes sense. And those Jamboree results directly influence the official preseason rankings, which takes us into the top 10.
Let's get into it.
But as I was reading through the scouting reports for these ranked teams, a bizarre pattern jumped out at me. Let's look at number 10, Gainesville.
Okay.
They dropped slightly in the rankings, partly because they lost their best lineman to an outside program called the Georgia Force.
Yeah.
Then you look at number 7, Collins Hill. They rely on deep talent because they lost key players to Mill Creek and the Georgia Force.
Noticing a trend.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I have to pause here because my mind is blown. It sounds like these 11-year-olds are acting like collegiate free agents. What is going on here?
I know, it sounds crazy, but it is a massive structural shift in youth sports culture. What you are observing is the microeconomy of the youth transfer portal.
But they are 11. Why is an 11-year-old transferring from their neighborhood park?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, parents and players are acutely aware of exposure, program prestige, and long-term development pipelines.
Even before middle school.
Oh, absolutely. The trickle-down effect of college NIL name, image, and likeness in hyper-competitive high school recruiting has reached the preteens.
That is just wild.
If a parent feels that a program like Georgia Force or Mill Creek offers a better offensive line coach, or better visibility, or even just a better track record of getting kids into elite high schools, they will pull their kid out of their home district.
So a youth coach could spend like 4 years developing a kid from age 7 to 10, teaching him everything, only to have him poached right before his breakout 11-year-old season.
That is exactly the new reality. Raw talent is no longer enough to sustain a youth dynasty.
Wow.
As a coach, you can no longer rely on the same core group of kids staying together until 8th grade. You have to actively recruit, retain your current roster, and constantly develop your bench.
Because your star player might just leave.
Right, your star left tackle might be playing for your rival next August.
That completely changes how I view these rankings.
It adds a whole new layer of strategy.
It means a team like number 9, Peachtree Ridge, who are completely new to this division but already claiming a top 10 spot, they had to build that roster through intense community buy-in. They host South Gwinnett this week in what they call the Lion's Den.
And stepping up into a new, heavier division and instantly asserting dominance against established programs requires a phenomenal culture, because culture is what keeps players from transferring.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You also have Grayson-Gold sitting at number 8, bouncing back from that heartbreaking safety loss to face Buford-Green.
Big test for them.
Collins Hill at number 7 hosting Grayson-White. And rounding out this tier at number 6, you have Mountain View, who are riding high on spring's 77 success and face Grayson-Green in week 1.
They're all navigating this transfer ecosystem in real time.
They really are. But that brings us to the absolute titans of the league, the top 5 heavyweights. And this is where the stakes reach just a fever pitch.
The elite tier. The margin for error here isn't just small, it's microscopic.
Let's start with number 5, Grayson-Green. 2 years ago, they were at the top of the division. They are incredibly hungry to get back to the championship, which in this league is referred to as the blue tent. What exactly is the blue tent?
The blue tent. It is the ultimate status symbol in the GFL. It is a specific, physical tent designated only for the league champions at the end of the season.
So it's literal.
Yes, to get under the blue tent means you have conquered the entire county. It is the singular goal for every single kid putting on a helmet in August.
I love that visual. Okay, sitting at number 4, we have Norcross, often called Norcross Elite. We talked about their 33-point Jamboree explosion.
Right, that aerial attack.
Their scary passing game translates to regular football, making them a dual-threat nightmare.
Very dangerous team.
Then coming in at number 3 is Lawrenceville, the Black Knights. This is fascinating to me because they are a historically successful program, but this is a true rebuild.
It is.
They brought in new transfers, yeah, but they also lost starters to Grayson, Norcross, Rare Breed, and the Georgia Force.
And losing established starters to 4 different competing programs shows just how fiercely competitive the talent acquisition is in this specific zip code.
It's cutthroat.
It is. Lawrenceville has a proud history, though, and their 25-0 Jamboree win shows they aren't going quietly. But maintaining tactical cohesion with that much roster churn, that will be their ultimate season-long test.
At number 2, the Bulldogs of North Gwinnett. Last year's runner-ups.
The Revenge Tour.
Yeah, exactly. They started hot last year, and this offseason they actually added more talent. They had that opening drive score against Archer in the Jamboree.
You saw it in their execution. That was focused, calculated aggression. They remember exactly how last season ended. They remember missing the blue tent, and they want to leave no doubt this year.
And finally, at number 1, the defending champions, Buford-White.
The kings of the hill.
They added even more talent to a championship roster, and here's the absolute kicker. They have a week 1 bye.
Unbelievable advantage.
I look at Buford-White getting a week 1 bye like a chess grandmaster, getting to sit in a comfortable leather chair, sipping iced water, and watching all of their opponents' opening moves on the board before ever having to commit a single pawn themselves.
That is a massive strategic advantage. I mean, they get raw regular season game film on every single contender without having to expose any of their own new plays, their new formations, or their newly transferred talent.
They just get to study.
Right. They get to adjust their week 2 game plan based entirely on real physical data, not just preseason rumors or 7v7 hype.
Which brings us to the actual week 1 predictions. Based on the deep dive sources, the point spreads are officially set, and I have to ask you about the math here.
Okay, let's hear them.
We have Lawrenceville favored by 28 over Meadow Creek, Norcross favored by 28 over Archer, North Gwinnett favored by 21 over Brookwood Maroon. How does an odds maker even calculate a 28-point spread for 11-year-olds?
It sounds absurd, doesn't it?
What metrics are they possibly looking at?
Well, they're looking squarely at the trenches. A 28-point spread in youth football implies absolute structural dominance at the line of scrimmage.
The offensive and defensive lines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It means the odds makers have looked at the defensive front of one team and the offensive line of the other and decided it is a complete physical mismatch.
Wow.
If a defensive line can get into the backfield in less than 2 seconds, the opposing offense cannot physically execute a handoff, let alone a pass.
Because the play is blown up instantly.
Right. 28 points means they expect one team to completely dictate the physical reality of the game from the very first snap.
The physics really do dictate everything. But, notice there is one game missing from that list of massive spreads.
It's game of the week.
Yes, the game of the week. Number 5, Grayson-Green versus number 6, Mountain View.
This is going to be good.
This game is being played at Lawrenceville, which is a neutral site. Because it's neutral, neither team gets the standard 1-point home advantage that odds makers give in this league. It is listed as a pure toss-up and is already being called a potential playoff preview. I want to dig into this neutral site aspect. Why does the location matter so much for kids this age?
This raises an important question because you have to think about the psychology of an 11-year-old athlete.
Okay.
At this age, momentum is highly emotional. A home field advantage isn't just about crowd noise, it's about familiarity.
Like knowing where things are.
Exactly. It's knowing exactly what the locker room smells like, knowing where the snack stand is, seeing your parents sitting in their usual spot in the bleachers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Those familiar elements act as emotional crutches when a game gets physically tough.
So a neutral site game strips all of those emotional crutches away.
Entirely. You are in a strange stadium. The lighting is different. The grass feels different. Your parents might be sitting on the wrong side of the field.
That's disorienting.
It strips the game down to pure discipline and coaching. Grayson-Green has the raw downhill speed, and Mountain View has the polished 7v7 finesse.
Right.
But on a neutral field, the psychological safety net is completely gone. It is going to come down to whichever team can regulate their own emotions and stay focused when adversity inevitably hits.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. It's not just a physical test of who is faster. It's a psychological test of who is more mature.
Exactly.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's distill this down. If you're listening, here are the 3 rapid-fire takeaways you need to remember from this deep dive into the GFL 11U landscape.
Number 1.
Number 1. The physics of youth football dictate that defenses are currently dominating. Shutting out the opponent is the standard right now, not the exception, simply because closing gaps is easier than coordinated blocking.
That's spot on. And number 2, the microeconomy of youth sports has evolved.
The transfer portal.
Right. The transfer portal culture has deeply infiltrated youth football. It's drastically reshaping the top 10 rankings as elite players migrate between programs in search of better development and exposure. Depth is now just as important as raw talent.
And number 3. The collision course between defending champion Buford-White and revenge-minded North Gwinnett is already set, but the Grayson-Green versus Mountain View matchup is the immediate neutral site psychological litmus test for the rest of the league.
It's going to be a great game.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Behind the intense rankings, the calculated 28-point spreads, and all the transfer drama, you have to remember that these are kids.
Just 11-year-olds.
They have been playing together or against each other since they were 7 years old. These rivalries are incredibly personal and deeply rooted in the history of their community. It's not just a game, it's their shared childhood.
Which leaves us with a critical question to consider as the season unfolds.
What's that?
With 11-year-olds facing the immense pressures of free agent transfers, preseason rankings, intense scouting, and 28-point expectations, what happens to the simple joy of the sport?
Oh, wow. That's a deep thought.
Does this incredibly high-stakes, pressure cooker environment forge unbreakable diamonds that are perfectly prepared for the rigors of high school and college? Or does it risk burning out the very passion that made them want to put on the shoulder pads in the first place?
That is the million-dollar question. Will the joy of the game survive the pressure of the system?
We will have to see.
We really will. Because whether a game ends in a high-flying 33-point blowout, or whether it ends on a controversial penalty in a tense 2-0 defensive marathon, the kids are the ones out there putting their bodies on the line.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the sources. Keep your eyes on week 1, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening.
It's your man, Alexander Scoop Jones, coming at you live where the gridiron grows. This is the Alexander Scoop Jones podcast, breaking down the GFL news coming fast from Gwinnett County. We shine that light, 11U football, every play, every fight, it's all about the kids. Every pass, every run, we suit up on Saturday mornings, yeah, we bring that fun. So huddle up, y'all, the whistle's about to blow. Let's talk GFL and let the good times roll.
Another Alexander Scoop Jones production. A crown of iron, a mind of glass, the math of power comes to pass. Variables of blood and stone, who has the will to take the throne? The variables shift, the empires fall. This is the equation of kings, where every choice a kingdom brings. Balance the scale, answer the call. One true ruler to solve it all. The equation of kings, available now on Amazon.